Hello everyone, welcome to the Trekyards mission briefing, your weekly dose of starship goodness. We look at a ship, station, shuttle, thingamabobby from the Trek universe, dissect, theorise, look at amazing pictures, and for the most part original studio models of the original ships, so everything is accurate and true and we can dissect it and look at all the little greenies and say that must be a transwarp multiplying conduit. And everyone's minds are blown, and that is what we do here at Trekyards. Hey Stuart.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. What are you doing today?
Well, I think Beyonce said it best when she said, if you liked it, then you should have put a ring on it. If you liked it, then you should have put a ring on it. And we're talking about the Vulcan Trekyards class, the ring ship, one of the Vulcan ring ships, the many ring ships from Enterprise. Very cool little design, I gotta say. And I liked it, so I put a ring on it. So yeah, without the ring, it's just pretty cool still. But
here's the Eagle Moss one, which I like. I really like this one. It's got a lot of physical detail. And as we said in the intro, this is the original studio model from Enterprise, done by Pierre Droulet, I am sure. So yeah,
designed by Doug Drexler.
No, John Eaves.
John Eaves designed this?
Yes, because Doug designed the first one, John designed all the other Vulcan ships. This was like John's bigger hero capital ship after Doug's, and he took a lot of inspiration from Doug's, so he was like, took it in direction. And obviously, well, there are some sketches in this list as well. But yeah, so do you remember? I mean, you're rewatching Enterprise now. Has this ship appeared yet, or is it yet to appear?
This exact one?
Yes.
I'm not sure. I've seen a bunch of Vulcan ships. I just started season 4, so.
It'll
yeah,
appear very soon.
Yeah.
Okay, so Stuart, what is your impression of this ship then? Look at it in all the nice detail, since you haven't really seen it in the show yet, but you will.
I like it. I like the ring, the warp ring. The warp ring on like Federation ships where people have done like kit bashes and put a ring on like a Constitution class ship just looks wrong. On this it looks so right. The internal blue glow, the way it lights up the interior there. Although I gotta say, the ship does have a lot of, you know, added detailing to the hull, bulbous, curvy parts, and I gotta wonder, where's the logic in that, guys? Vulcans are very logical. When they have a smooth texture, you would think, you know, this is just like for aesthetics' sake, just to look cool. Would the Vulcans do that?
Ah, see, now you're asking a really interesting question. The fact that Vulcans are completely logical means that this design is logical, which means that the shapes are so needed to the design of the ship. They're in fact the most logical part of the ship. So you gotta then wonder, what the hell are the details? Because they must be logical.
Where's the deflector dish? Maybe it's embedded in the front.
And yeah, I mean, well, the Vulcans never had deflectors. I mean, none of the ships have had deflectors, so it's not technology they need to stick by. I mean, the shuttle didn't, the lander didn't. At least dishes anyway. But yeah, it's kind of easy to tell, I suppose. But what do you think about the scale of the ship? Is obviously you got some windows, so you got some indication. But what do you think of the size?
I'm fine with it.
No, I mean, how big do you think it is compared to other stuff?
Oh, it's a little bit bigger than the NX-01 for sure, lengthwise. Not too much bigger, I would imagine, but I'm sure you'll prove me wrong in a minute.
Yeah, my first impression for the ship, I think it's my favourite Vulcan ship. I think I like Doug's one, but it's too simple. Like, I really like all the extra detailing. I like the ring. I like the bit in the middle, which we'll talk about in a minute. I think this all comes together really nicely and has a really different aesthetic. I mean, this doesn't look like anything else, does it? But it all feels very integrated, and there are a few iterations of this ship throughout the show. You have it with the ring, without the ring, and other bits and pieces. So there is versions. But I really like it, and I wish we'd seen them more. But this is meant to be the biggest beast in the Vulcan fleet, and you'll see them in season 4. Well, you guys have seen them in season 4. So this is the big guns. And it's,
I've seen season 4 before too, you know. It's my first time seeing Enterprise. I'm just rewatching it.
Okay, it's true. So then you've seen them multiple times.
Sure.
In multiple episodes. But let's go to the next picture, which is a fun little 3/4 side scale to show actually quite a lot bigger, because the Vulcans do make big ships, and the Enterprise was meant to look like a tiddly little, you know, oh, you cute little Enterprise against this big Vulcan ship.
Yeah, well, the windows, they like big windows apparently, the Vulcans. So those are pretty big windows on the side there.
Yeah,
compare them to the Enterprise NX. Oh, little porthole ones.
Well, I mean, that's a good point. The NX1 windows are more portholes than full-on windows, aren't they? Like, look at the Enterprise D windows. I mean, they're much, much bigger, so that would make sense. But these are, you know, Warp 7 vessels, very capable. But, I mean, you can tell if Earth actually had a war against the Vulcans, you wouldn't win. I mean, the tech level is so... You know, this is the creme de la creme of the Federation, well, Starfleet's fleet, I guess. And yet the Vulcan ships really outstretch it. So... Yeah, just a bit tiddly, doesn't it?
A little bit, yeah. It's a lot bigger. Well, the Vulcan ship's a lot bigger than I thought based on the window size, but, you know. All right, so going to the next picture, we got a shot of it from behind. I love the little impulse engine details back there. That's really cool.
Yeah, and they're so small, but they're very integrated. But that really shows advancement, you know. It's just, that's what you need to propel it, you know.
Yeah, these things are really... I don't want to say sleek. They're very smooth and aerodynamic looking. I know aerodynamic. Every time we say that, somebody in the comments yells at us. It doesn't have to be aerodynamic in space. We understand this. But when you're describing certain shapes, I think this comes off as aerodynamic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very functional. It doesn't feel like anything's been wasted. I mean, I love Pierre's modelling anyway because I mean, there's not that much physical detail. I mean, all the shapes are perfectly defined, but there isn't really any greeblies. It's more just layers because that's, I suppose, the armour. But I love the way he models. I mean, he does I mean, it looks so seamless because of the amazing high-res textures, the amazing bump and surface maps. I just love his quality of modelling. I do, yeah, right, you're right. I love that ring, just providing that bit of light on the internal space. It just makes it pop a little bit, because without that I think it'd be quite bland, but have that just infusion of colour, infusion of something. I almost wish though that middle bit would have a bit more life to it as well, maybe like an impulse drive. We'll talk about that in a minute as part of this show, but I almost wish that was higher and was another impulse drive, so like primary impulse in the middle and then but yeah, this is but it's a warp ring, so it's an interesting piece of what the hell's the line of sight with a warp ring?
With itself, it's a ring. It's all internal, so it's fine.
But there's a ship in the middle of a ring.
But okay, it's right across then. I don't know, because there's the space in the middle there where there's no glowing elements, so... Maybe, I don't know. Sure. Now, you said this is the beast of the Vulcan fleet. Is this a warship or a battleship? Or
I think they're equivalent, yeah.
Okay.
It is their biggest ship, battle cruiser, well, as much as you can get. This is the one you'd send if you want to make some noise.
Cool.
Yeah. And the next picture is some orthos from Drex Files. Didn't do these ones this time, just to show you all the different dimensions, and you know, you often see it from the top and bottom, but it's so thin. Like it is very... You don't really get that sense, but I love that side view, having how the secondary part comes up and just... Yeah. What do you think?
No, I think it's fantastic. Now, my question is, though, is the bridge module that part on the front in the middle there, or do you think it's more in between the ring? That would probably be engineering, I would assume.
You would assume wrong.
Really? So the bridge is between the ring?
No.
Oh.
No, I would assume the bridges, you're right, is that bit sticking out. I don't know what engineering is. That's probably a bit before that. I mean... But it's not in the middle of the ring, and we'll get into that very shortly. I keep teasing it, and a lot of you guys know already, but that bit in the ring is a whole separate thing, Stuart. Whole separate thing.
Fine. Next picture.
It's the concept.
I love the eavesdroppings. Such a clever name, too. I actually kind of like this more.
Yeah.
Even that rear ring style is very, very interesting. I would have loved to see that.
Well, this is a hinge point. I assume then that they can fold in on themselves, which is super functional.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I like how the back of the body just sort of tapers off. Yeah, it's more without the ring especially. It's more of like a sea animal, just the way it curves.
Or a Star Wars Naboo fighter.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
Or
yeah.
Naboo ship,
or even a Mon Calamari. That is basically the shape of the Mon Calamari cruiser. But I thought it'd be fun to show the concept. If you go to the next picture, this is the more fleshed out concept, which in fact shows what the thing in the middle is.
It's like not an escape pod, but like a secondary ship.
Secondary ship, absolutely. Some sort of something or other. I don't know. But yeah, exactly. It's got the ring which can flip down, and then the other ship just sort of detaches and launches and comes out. And the model does do that. We'll see this basically now, but I like that as a. I mean, it's a big ship. I'd be interested to know the scale of that small ship in compared to, the rest of the ship. But if you look, I mean, I seem to remember from the NX, it's about most of the size of the NX. I think we'll see that in a minute as well. So it's interesting that it'd be such a big small ship. I mean, like it's not necessarily source separation, obviously, but I mean, what do you think the function would be?
I don't know. I don't know. Just secondary exploration craft, perhaps.
I think there's enough pixels to see it. Just see it says survey ship docks into the ring.
Yeah, so it goes out and does surveying. Well, the main ship does whatever the main ship wants to do, I guess.
So it's like the Uber shuttle.
Yeah,
nice.
That's really cool.
Nice.
I really like that. I didn't know it did that, so...
Good. But the next picture is a close-up of the shuttle attached. You can see the nose just slides into the docking area. I guess it's got its own little mini ring, which I didn't really notice. It looks pretty small. Well, there's only one ring of there's only one set of windows, but it's covered up O-berth. Actually, if you were to take out that bottom bit, is definitely an O-berth shape. And if you take out the top, you'd actually have that design pretty much to a T, wouldn't you? Huh.
Yeah. I wonder if it's kind of like a captain's yacht too, where they can use it for traveling for dignitaries and ambassador kind of missions and things like that. That's cool. Yeah. I love that. Wow, I didn't even know it did that.
I didn't even really get to see it in the show, which is such a shame.
Oh, yeah. So here it is. Next picture. It's separated.
Yes, that's what it looks like. It's very pointy, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. Well, it keeps the Vulcan aesthetic that way, right? But yeah, you're right. That bottom part is just a secondary O-berth.
Maybe that's the inspiration for the class then. This is the survey ship. Maybe that's the O-berth is actually a Vulcan ship.
Possibly.
Vulcan design. I mean, this would seem to imply it is. I mean, it's like 60% the same design.
Although it flies backwards.
Yes.
But that's cool.
Yes.
Oh, I like that. 2 ships for the price of 1.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
wonder if it's armed at all.
Oh, you'd assume so. I mean, the Vulcans aren't militaristic. They have some advanced weapons out there, and obviously the Klingons, don't want to pick a fight. The Andorians are picking a fight, but they're not exactly winning that much. So, but if you go to the next picture, you get to see a nice aft view and see all the detail you didn't really get to see. You get to see even an impulse drive there, not currently on, but there's a little impulse grill slits in the middle between the two, and it's just a little cute little ship.
I like it.
Yeah, I like it. Love the detailing. I mean, you zoom right into that, it still looks gorgeous, and that's just Pierre's amazing modelling.
Adds to the look. Like, that looks really cool. That top part, you take those rings off and stuff, and you can almost, it looks like a really nice, expensive yacht. Or a phaser. Cardassian design.
But the next picture is a top view to show you actually the scale of it. So it's certainly pretty big, considering.
Yeah, do we have a scale view of the NX-01, perhaps?
We basically do. If you go to the next picture, I did this like 2 days ago. Most of these pictures are actually older. We've been waiting for this episode for a long time, but now I have even more ships. This is pretty much all the ships from Enterprise, all the Vulcan ships, and the NX-01. I thought it'd be a fun thing to compare, actually showing how it really is the beast of the fleet. Because obviously the one at the bottom left is the repainted version of Doug Surratt class, which his original version was red in that first episode. That was a big ship, and this is even bigger. And then you got the cargo ship and the fighter and all these different ships. And you can see that, yes, the secondary ship, is about the size of the saucer of the NX. So a pretty pretty functional ship.
Yeah, I'd say so. I wouldn't expect it to be quite that big, but that's really impressive. Well, we know the Vulcans are more advanced, right? So that's just shows that. I wish I'd seen that more in the show.
And what do you think about the scale to the rest of the fleet?
It's good.
I mean, you can clearly see this is their big guns.
Yeah.
You know, it both has more surface area, far bigger, and I mean, you know, just the warp. It's probably the fastest ship in their fleet as well. I mean, the ring is far larger than the other ship's ring. So I mean, this is like the Enterprise D of their fleet. You know.
Yeah.
I thought it was an interesting thing to see. You don't often see them all together.
So if we go to the next picture, this is it, and a fleet of Vulcan ships firing.
Yes.
So their phasers are the same color as their blood, which is good.
Oh yeah, I was about to say why green, but yeah, that makes sense. But they do. I mean, I think Vulcan ships are pretty good as a fleet. Although you kind of got a TIE fighter there to the right, the way that's angled.
And the one on the far left, the picture almost looks Ferengi from that angle, like a Ferengi ship of some kind. Anyway,
I just thought it was interesting where the weapons come from, and it's just standardly greeny and But I mean, it's pretty. It looks pretty powerful.
Absolutely, yeah. I really like this aesthetic. So.
But the next picture, because we like scaling it to other ships in the universe. Well, this is it compared to a ship 100 years later, the Constitution. Yeah, still pretty big.
It still holds up, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder too how long the Vulcans use their ships for.
Yeah.
If they're like the Federation, it could be like 100 years. So.
I mean, why wouldn't you see these ships flying around as maybe the internal Vulcan defense fleet? You give it better photons and phasers. I mean, why not? But that kind of shows you that the evolution towards technology, just after they joined the Federation, they were part of it. They didn't, I guess, they didn't share their need to make big ships, you know, because the colony is so not that much bigger than the NX. I mean, but it's so much stronger and so much more. And these are both Warp 7 ships. So if anything, it shows that our technology, with how small our warp nacelles are, maybe more advanced. I mean, it is more advanced, but you know what I mean. Like with it, I guess we got them to push into smaller drives. I don't know. It's just interesting to see how the scaling is.
Yeah, I'd love to see a Vulcan ship of the time period of TOS, same as the Connie. They might have scaled down a little bit too, just because of technology improving or whatever. So it's hard to say.
Yeah, I'd love to see Vulcan ships from every era, but I do think John had a great little aesthetic here. I think it's no offense, but I think it's better than the one they had for the motion picture. I think that's the best design.
That's not a Vulcan design. It's a warp sled, but everybody assumed because Spock came on it was a Vulcan design. It's actually a Federation design, but that's another story.
But there aren't necessarily any Vulcan designs left because it's all Federation design.
Well, I'm sure there's still Vulcan ships. I don't know. Anyway, next picture shows it with the Sovereign, which, again, it's still a pretty comparable size. But yeah, that's great, actually.
I was kind of surprised by that. But at least we finally got there, guys. We finally, by the 24th century, we finally managed to build a ship longer than the Vulcan ship from 2021 somethings.
And awesomely enough, these were both designed by John Eaves, so...
Yeah. His two babies.
Yeah.
God, I mean, that tells you how many crew there must be and how I mean, you know, you think the captain's yacht's powerful. I mean, that secondary shuttle, that puts into perspective how big and functional that ship must be.
Yeah, it's not a... I was just about to say it's not an auxiliary craft like the Captain Judd is, but it is an auxiliary craft. It's a surveyor, so...
Yeah.
But it's just so much bigger.
I'm trying to think of a comparable thing. It really is like, this is the mothership, and it launches off this completely functional, so, you know... You go and do the science, but you have a big ship to take on. I guess the antennas, Andorians, if they come calling, or the Romulans, whatever, they've got that capital ship to back up, you know. But you still got the survey crew doing their thing.
Yeah, and we've talked about that before with some of our Trekyards originals and stuff. That would be a cool idea to have that kind of functionality, as it were.
But I thought it was interesting to show the different eras together.
Yes, absolutely. So we'll just go to the last picture, which happens to be the first picture again, which we sometimes do here, maybe more than we realize. But anyway, great shot of the ship. I absolutely love this design. John Eaves, I think, really hit it out of the park. I love the ring. I love the ring aesthetic for the Vulcans. I don't know why, but it just suits their logical approach to warp drive.
It's very self-contained and you know, like it's not two separate systems. It's one integrated thing. It's just functional. And obviously, this sort of ring, you can just take it off, put it on another ship. If that's the warp part, it's kind of like the fast and light aspect of the Star Wars Episode 3 Jedi Starfighter. The main Starfighter is standard, and then it goes into the hyperdrive ring, and then kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
I mean, this ring you can pull off other models, so yeah.
That's cool. Well, yeah, I love it. I think it's great.
Now, what one thing that's great about obviously Trekyards, what we do is that you got to see it sort of in the show, but you have a greater appreciation now that you actually see it in all its different angles and.
Absolutely. Like, I did like it in the show, but to see and to know that there's that auxiliary ship, which I didn't know before, I love that I can still learn stuff as well. Like, so I know the viewers are definitely getting something out of these mission briefings. So
that's why having the real models is so important, because you can see this. You can take the stills of the show and say this, this, and this, or you can do new 720 renders or 1080 for the fleet yards and just like pull things away and test out things. And there's just so much to look at and appreciate the hard work that went into these ships. You know, John designed it as one of his many of ships of the week, and presumably Pierre built it as he builds a lot of the ships from Enterprise. And we get to show it the love and appreciation that really it's a simple almost one-off Vulcan ship, but hey, it's a cool one. You know, I think like I said, deserves more credit. And so that pretty much sums up this episode.
All right, and I think it's safe to say that these are probably still flying around in TOS era, and I'm sure that a style or a new version of this would exist for the Vulcans. So,
Are you hinting renders with this TOS Connie going to K7 and stuff into the full episode? Is that what you're hinting right now, Stuart?
No, but thank you for that suggestion.
Oh.
Anyway, guys, love giving Samuel more work. If you like what we do, please hit us up on trekyards.com, hit the donate button, or visit us on Patreon.
Yes. That's a monthly donation scheme, so you can help YouTubers like us to support the show and just keep coming to you week after week after week after week after week with great new renders of the original models used in the show. You cannot get better, guys, and it's such a thrill to be able to bring it to you. But until next week, another ship, station, or thingamabob, I'm Connor Cockings.
And I'm Captain Foley.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
It's only logical to come back and check us out.
Indeed. Stargate joke.